The opening line of A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens is a famous sentence. The line is, "It was the best of times. It was the worst of times." And that pretty much describes the fourth weekend in June of 2021. It was the worst of times. I'll deal with that first. I was at home on Allison Street. Deborah had passed a year before. I was home alone, celebrating in the backyard, Road Dogg's juke joint. I came in the house to watch Atlanta Hawks and the Milwaukee Bucks play in the Eastern Conference Finals, and the game came on at 9 o'clock. Sat down shortly after 9 to watch the game, heard a crackling sound in the back of the house. It grew louder. I got up to see what it was, and the shed kitchen and my kitchen was engulfed in flames, and I was burnt out of Allison Street. That night, after the fire department had come, and I had a scheduled appointment to be with Mark on Saturday the 26th. Anyway, so he came to pick me up and took me out Westchester. We did not get a chance to board up the house, and when we returned on Saturday, the house had been looted and ran through. Jewelry taken, precious items taken, my Eagles Super Bowl ring, and I was at what I thought was one of the lowest points of my life. I had lost my wife, I had lost my home, things had been stolen from me, and I was just, it was the worst of times. However, that weekend was also the best of times. The weekend prior was Father's Day, and Thursday the 24th was Mark's birthday. So Jessica had planned a weekend for Mark, myself, and little Marcus, and she had a surprise for Mark that she didn't want to tell him about. The surprise was on Saturday. She, Mark, little Marcus, and Bella went to New Jersey. She had rented some high-performance race cars for Mark to drive over in Jersey. And with this setup, Mark was able to drive a Lamborghini and a Aston Martin and really air them out over a stretch of land, over like a 45-minute period. And he says he had little Mark in the car with him while he was driving, and he was able to open the cars up to go about 115 miles per hour. It was a surprise, and it was a great gift for Mark and Marcus. I waited at the house until they came back, and then we continued the weekend on Sunday. The best of times. On Sunday, the weekend continued. We had tickets for the Pocono 500. Jessica had purchased tickets for the three Marks to go to Pocono. Neither of us had been to any type of NASCAR event like that, so it was an experience. Little Mark, MK3, is into NASCAR, so it was very exciting for him. Mark and I were going for the experience, and he had just had the experience of driving the high-performance cars the day before. I was at my low point, thinking of all of the things going through my head about how to deal with the fire, the loss, things being stolen from me, and I just needed to clear my head. So we were on our way to Pocono. It was a great weather day, Could not have been better. It was hot, but not humid, and we were driving up to Pocono, which is maybe about an hour and a half up the turnpike, and it was a great event. When you get there, it's a festival atmosphere, almost like a carnival, a lot of open air refreshments and displays. The race car sponsors have booths outside. A lot of people are milling around. Great crowds. Even in the crowd, of course, there weren't many black people, but there were a few. And we even saw three sisters that were around the racetrack and interested in the race. Pretty exciting. So it was a build-up. During the course of the day, we saw three races. I think we saw a truck race first, and then a preliminary race, and then the Pocono 500. The race. The big thing about NASCAR, the big criticism is that, it seems as if a bunch of cars just go real fast around a track and make 4 left-hand turns for a couple of hours, and it's supposed to be exciting. Well, actually, it is. Pocono itself is a 2.5-mile track. It's a triangular track, the tricky triangle, the golden triangle. And to see these cars go around this track at 200 miles per hour, 30, 40 cars traveling that fast around the track, and the sound that is generated from the engines, it is exciting. It's unparalleled. It's almost indescribable. But it's the experience. You really do feel the race itself. Also, I don't think that the black community, really ever felt a part of NASCAR. NASCAR in itself is a phenomenon in that, in its popularity, in its success, how it has grown, is really a American sports culture phenomenon. And with black people, I don't think we felt very inclusive in it. We've seen it as like the Dukes of Hazzard, Stroker Ace movie with Burt Reynolds, Tom Cruise, and The Days of Thunder. But, it was a good old boys thing from down south. And, we just didn't find ourselves inclusive. But we know that today, Bubba Wallace, one of the first, and not first, but recently successful drivers in NASCAR. He's sponsored by Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is owner. And even in the Pocono 500, it was rumored that Michael Jordan was in attendance to see Bubba Wallace race. So it is NASCAR is trying to reach out and be more inclusive to black folk. And I guess we're embracing this slowly. Well, it comes down to this. I was born Marcus Roderick King, after my godfather Marcus, after my Uncle Doc, whose middle name was Roderick, and last name King. And I did not want to give my son the middle name of Roderick. So, when Marcus was born, I named him Marcus Malcolm King, after Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King. He was the civil rights baby. And then I also, along the line, started collecting M&M souvenirs and products and memorabilia. Wrote a story about M&M's greatest adventure, and have been to M&M World in Orlando and M&M World in Las Vegas. When Marcus Malcolm Jr. was born, Deborah and I went to the hospital second day after he was born and presented him with some M&Ms as well, even as an infant. So as he grows up, he's Marcus Malcolm King Jr. So Marcus Malcolm grows up with the initials of M&M, and somehow he gets into NASCAR. So naturally, the M&M car, number 18, driven by Kyle Busch, becomes his favorite driver and car. We're at the Pocono 500. His father buys him an M&M hat while we're at the raceway. The race starts. The Pocono 500 is a 500-mile race and is broken down into 3 stages of about 133 miles per stage. In the last stage, Kyle Busch is probably around 10th place. Bubba Wallace is up around 6 or 7. The race goes on, and in the last 10 laps, shall we say, Kyle Busch starts to move up, and he moves up as some cars drop out because they had mechanical trouble. Some drop out because they run out of fuel. Kyle Busch manages his car, the number 18 car, to the very end, and on what seems to be like the last lap, he takes first place, finished the race out of fuel, and he says after the race that his car was also stuck in a gear, but he wins the race. So we are there, and it's just a moment of exhilaration. Our first NASCAR experience. Mark's favorite driver, favorite car wins. We're together and we celebrate. So it was the best of times, not just because of the race, but because I had this experience with my son and my grandson, 3 generations of Marks. And it just made me focus on not what I had lost, but still what I had. So even though it was the worst of times, it was the best of times.
You get a fast car, I want a ticket to anywhere. Maybe we make a deal. Maybe together we can get somewhere. Any place is better. Starting from zero, got nothing to lose. Maybe we'll make something. Me, myself, I got nothing to prove. You get a fast car, I got a plan to get us out of here. Been working at the convenience store. Managed to save just a little bit of money. Won't have to drive too far. Just cross the border and into the city. You and I can both get jobs and finally see what it means to be living. See, my old man's got a problem. Yeah, but the bottle, that's the way it is. He says his body's too old for working. His body's too young to look like his. My mama went off and left him. She wanted more from life than he could give. I said somebody's got to take care of him. So I quit school and that's what I did.